All right, we're back again, finishing up chapter 3. Our moving forward with the feasibility analysis. So we've looked at the product and service feasibility. Now we've moved on to industry and target market feasibility. So we're just looking at an overall, what is going on in the industry, and then we're narrowing that down to who we think is actually going to purchase our products and what's the attractiveness of that as well. Industry attractiveness. So here we're doing some research on the industry. What's going on in it? Is it characteristics of an attractive industry? Is it an established old industry? Is it something that's more up and coming and new? So young versus old. There can be a lot more opportunities in a newer industry where things are still kind of forming and shaping. A lot of changes going on. Maybe not the big players entrenched in the industry. Less. More ability to operate in a smaller level and still be competitive. Early rather late than late in the life cycle. I mean, you do see some bigger and older industries further on in the life cycle. Some people mention, when they mention some of their favorite businesses, developments like that. Like I think of Square or Uber, things like that, where they've really changed up an industry or created a niche in an industry that was older, that was further in its life cycle. That's fairly uncommon, though. You're more likely looking for an industry that's newer, that's growing, that's early on in its life cycle, fragmented rather than concentrated. That is something that I thought was very attractive about the industry I'm in. It's most often smaller players, mom and pops. So there's opportunity to find a way to consolidate, to create a brand, to carry that forward. Growing rather than shrinking. Obviously, you're looking for something that is continuing to raise the amount of money that's coming into the industry. Whether this industry is a must-have versus a want-to-have, the best place to be is something that people have to spend their money on. I have to have whatever it is, and it's not a crowded market. I did get into a saturated market, but I felt like I had found a target market, an underserved population in that industry that wasn't being addressed. So crowded is not ideal unless you find something specific that you think is not being serviced. So something to think about. High rather than low operating margins. I mean, the better the margins, the more attractive it is, of course. And they're not highly dependent on low price of key raw materials. Being dependent on raw material prices to create a margin. If you have to have this, I have to have this specific sea salt to make my scrub, and it only comes from these 3 places. If you're very tied to suppliers, limited supplier selection, if those prices of those supplies fluctuation could create a big problem with margin, that's something to be concerned about and aware of for sure. Moving on from the industry attractiveness, so now I'm looking at target market attractiveness. I'm narrowing this down. Who am I going to sell my things to? This is where I have to say you can't be everything to everyone. If you are small and you look through, you read in the book, but just to reiterate it, one key to success is being laser focused on a clearly defined target market. I'll say that again. Being very focused on a clearly defined target market. I can get into the furniture industry and I can sell dining room tables to anyone. But if I am a college student, I'm probably looking for more of the Walmart brand. I want one that's $50, that is small, that it doesn't have to be high quality or last for the rest of my life. I'm looking for something specific. I'm price conscious. I am not concerned about quality quite as much. I am looking for a certain design or size, that kind of thing. That is not what a higher end customer is looking for. They're looking for custom made with Italian, with fancy wood and engravings, and I don't care if it's $5,000. I plan to pass it on to my grandchildren when, I die. This is an heirloom piece that I'm looking for. And so, when I come in to look at it, I expect it to be displayed with um, types of furnishings. I expect the chairs to be beautiful. I expect the air, marble floors, and I want to see it in um, my environment. I'm not going to take it home then to my apartment on 21st Street. I'm going to take it home to my $500,000 home at Flint Hills. And so I want to know what it's going to look like. I expect a shopping experience that's exclusive. I seriously, I don't even want to come in and look at it. I'm going to find it online if I'm a student, and I'm just going to want you to like put it in my car, and I want to come in maybe, or whatever. And then there's a whole target market in the middle that, maybe, so the student doesn't mind. I'm going to come in, I'm going to I'm going to go to IKEA. I'm going to shop in the aisles. I don't expect anybody to even help me. I'm going to self-check. I'm going to get that little table, and I'm going to be on my way for $50. There's maybe a target market in the middle that's like, I don't even want to get out of the car. I have 3 kids. I'm fine with, I need something that's going to stand up to a big family using it every day. We're going to paint on it. We're going to do homework on it. We're going to eat on it. Probably my 3-year-old's going to stand on it and jump off of it. I need something that's durable. It doesn't have to be high end. I don't want to pay $1 million for it because they probably will break it anyway. So my $500,000, $750,000 dining room table, I want it delivered out to my car. I just want to look online. I want to call you on the phone. I want to, have that curbside pickup or I want it delivered. I don't even want to have to drive up there. So, you can really see we're all in the same industry. Industry's attractive. I looked it over. It looks like people are buying dining room tables again. It's really in vogue for, sit down for dinner. People are wanting to invest in furniture pieces, whatever. But defining my target market now, getting that laser focus, clearly defined target market is going to make a difference. So now I'm looking at attractiveness of that specific area. I'm going to talk to those people. I'm going to figure out, if this is something that I can move on. So defining your target market and that you're not everything to everybody, even in the dining room table arena. And maybe you are later on. You're going to look at exam and you're going to say like, well, Walmart sells everything, Target sells everything, yes, they do, but they're big players. You are going to be small, at least to start with. You're not going to compete with Walmart for everything for everybody. You're going to find a niche, an underserved niche. You're going to find a problem that hasn't been addressed. You're going to find something that they're doing maybe a little bit, but not a lot. And you're going to do it better. And, this is how. So make sure you're defining your target market well. You're really getting into the attractiveness of that target market. Are they making more money? Are there more students out there? They have money to spend. They're getting dining room tables. I'm going to go for the families. I feel like that's a really attractive target market. Everybody's wanting to sit down and eat dinner together. They're looking for new ways to shop. So they're going to love that we don't even have bricks and mortar. We're going to just delivery only from a warehouse. They're going to shop online. It's going to be, this is going to be a great opportunity and option. People don't want to come into furniture stores anymore and purchase dining room tables. They just want to shop online. They want me to bring it, Wayfair, things like that. They just want me to bring it on over to their house. Things to think about when you're looking at the target market. Organizational feasibility analysis. So please, let's look at non-financial resources and the people that are going to run this, the management of the company. When you're out there getting a loan, when you're out there doing this execution that we talked about in chapter 2, how critical the good execution is, you got to know what you're doing. So management prowess, resource sufficiency, who's running this company, things that we're going to look at, 2 important factors. Passion, when we talked about how important that is, you have to show that this is your idea, that you are going to have the wherewithal, the tenacity to bring it forward, and that's shown in passion mostly. And then, the expertise, the understanding. You understand the market, you have experience, or you have expertise, you have the research, the backing to make that happen. You don't have to have 60 years of experience in the industry. You don't have to have gone to school, got your MBA, and worked in 6 startups in Silicon Valley to make this happen. But you do have to show, I've done these things to make myself ready for this opportunity, and whatever that might be, your industry and your market and all of those things. And you have, I sharpened my leadership skills with the Leadership Institute. I did take additional finance classes. I have worked in one small business, and this is how I cut my teeth there. Whatever it might be, I don't think people are looking for PhD candidates to run your business necessarily, but they're looking for someone that's put the work in and the time in and knows what it takes and has done some things to make that happen. Okay. Resource sufficiency. So this is the one I mentioned early on, that if I had known what I know now back before I started, this is probably the tipping point on our business right now, just in terms of if you find that you are in an industry that requires employees with specialized skills, that's the one that I highlighted in here, or other key resources like intellectual property or other things that they list in there. But the one that really stands out to me is when you're looking for employees with specialized skills. We have to, you have to be licensed in the state of Kansas to work in a spa, whether it's nails or skin or waxing or massage. Now it's a new city license for massage. So you have to go to school, which I totally agree with. I want somebody that's qualified, but nobody goes to school here. It is not a money-making game for the schools. They would much rather you went to school for skin or hair, because it's like the difference between 3,500 and 10 weeks of schooling and 8 months to a year worth of schooling and like $25,000 worth of tuition. So you can see where they're going with it. They don't want to spend the resources to put people through. So they're not pushing the programs. They're selling the money-making ability to the student of getting into a career where you can do hair and have a $150 ticket versus nails where you have a $30 ticket. Actually, I don't know if they're doing that, but if they were smart, that's how they'd sell it to them. They're just saying the other thing that holds them up is because of the shortness, the Board of Regents, because the program's only 10 weeks for nails and it only costs $3,500, they're not allowed to offer financial aid, because it's not long enough. So people that are going in to go to nail school don't have $3,500 in their bank account, and it's a 10-week program. They're not going to get $3,500 in their bank account to pay it off before they're done. Just like, maybe as I go to college, it takes me 4 or 5 years to go to college. I can generate some income and pay, part of that, but it's too short. It's impossible. It's a full-time program. You can't even work a job during it. And so we're back to this resource sufficiency. No one's going to school to become a nail technician. And I have built my business on the service of, I've built my original business idea on nail tech services. So we run into a problem. We also run into a problem when they find that there's scarcity of their skill set for no real benefit or no reason for them to get better. A lot of them come out of school and they're not that good, but people employ them anyway because they're the only ones available. So lots of issues with if there's scarcity in your resources, especially in your human resources. So really thinking about who you need, what you need, where those skills are, how you're going to obtain them. Listing out 6 to 12 most critical non-financial resources. Maybe it's just a certain area. Maybe I would have found that I would open my business in Kansas City, or I would have, started my business in Alaska. Apparently they don't need any training. They take like 5 hours of training and they do nails, which quite frankly, that might be fine. But that's a whole nother, but just figuring out, if this might impede your ability to be successful. Resource sufficiency should not be underestimated, at least in certain industries. Man, I went on and on about that. Some of the other resources to look at: affordable office space, where you're going to open up, how is that going to be available, lab space, manufacturing space, ability to contract manufacturers or service providers. I talked about that for 10 minutes now, sorry. Key management employees now and in the future, support personnel. Am I in a mecca of lots of engineering firms, aviation firms locate here in Wichita, Kansas, because there is an abundance of availability of well-trained, well-experienced employees. The resources, is just unbelievable. So people are coming here to feed on that ability to obtain intellectual property protection, favorable business partnerships, things to think about. They can really affect your business. Financial feasibility. I think this sometimes is all people look at. They do a feasibility analysis and they think it's all about the numbers. We've seen that now. That is not the case completely, but please look at the numbers. It is important. This is where we start getting an estimate put together on total startup cash needed. How much money am I going to need to start this business? And, is that a reasonable amount of money to recover at some point as I'm making money in this business? Financial performance of similar businesses. Please get out there and get, I get some great information from, this is where you get into those trade associations, you get industry publications. I get industry publications, and some of the best information I get is once a year they do a survey, and they come out with the numbers and trends and all of this really key information from all over the United States, so I can get a feel for what's going on in the industry, and it's timely. Some of the stuff you found out there, like they haven't done a survey or got information for the last 16 years. I mean, how good is this now in our state of the economy and the industry? So, and then overall financial attractiveness of the proposed venture. Let's see if this makes sense. So I'm estimating here. I'm going to make some assumptions. I'm going to put together some total startup cash needed. This is just trying to get a realistic total of what you might need to get things moving forward. Financial performance of similar businesses. I mentioned this is where we're looking for some reports, some detailed trend analysis. Industry publications are a great place. Trade associations, things like that. You look at the example of the new venture fitness drink, and they're trying to estimate their sales by checking the number of people who go to similar restaurants, estimating the average amount each customer spends. This is where we're making assumptions. We're putting together this financial idea, this financial template based on what we know. I know I'm making educated guesses on some of this. I know that the average total sale in the spa industry for a nail service is $35, or it's $25, or I'm going to break it up. I know that the manis and pedis is quite a bit different, and different times of the year I would do different volume. So maybe I'm looking at the seasonality. There's a lot of assumptions. If I'm just going to peanut butter, $300 a day, I mean, you better darn well have something to back that up, because that is not going to give you a good number. You're just doing it for estimate purposes, so I'm not going to go in and detail out everything, but you got to have a basis for what you're coming up with. So, I'm looking at this, and, I know we're going to do, in the summer, I'm going to do more pedicures, so I'm going to, 75% of my nail income is going to be pedicures, and that is at a $35 average sale, and I think that I'm going to be 80% busy, and I'm going to have 6 nail techs, and, start running some of those numbers. I spent 6 years at my business with this little spreadsheet where I just type stuff in whenever I thought of it and see how that would come out and this would come out. And so, just continuing to work through your idea, coming up with some good assumptions, not just slapping some numbers in there. I see people do this all the time, and you're like, well, why is it 300 in November and in January? Is that, or July? Does that make sense? I know you're just doing an estimate, but you also should use all the knowledge that you put together up to this point to come up with a reasonable estimate. So now I'm looking at the overall attractiveness, financial attractiveness of this business opportunity. Have I come up with some things that are going to work that make sense? What are my goals with this? They talk about here. Is there availability of an exit opportunity for investors to convert equity to cash? What am I going to accomplish with this business? We get back to, chapter 1, where we're talking about what kind of business am I getting in? Is there the opportunity? Can I meet my financial goals with this business, whether it is bringing on investors, making in a high growth industry where they can get out of this at a certain amount at a certain time frame and get their money back with their return. Not in my business, not the way that I have it structured. Are we looking at steady, rapid sales growth in the first 5 to 7 years in a clearly defined market niche? High percentage of recurring revenue. That's a great thing to look at. Once you win a customer, how many times will they come back? How much money will they spend with you? How valuable is a customer? How expensive is it to get a customer? We're forecasting our incomes and expenses. Can you do that fairly reasonably? How variable are your costs and expenses out there? And then how can we generate funds to finance and sustain internal growth? What is going to be our growth rate? How will we finance that? How will we make back our startup funds? All those things. So great things to look at as you're looking at the financial viability of your business. So that brings us to the end of chapter 3. I talked way more than I should have in the second half here. This is just the meat and potatoes of the course. Chapter 3 is so good. This is going to help you every time you're thinking you have a business idea. And, please use this to go back to this, refer to this, take some time to get familiar with this process, because it's just going to be key to you moving forward with any business idea. So let me know if you have any questions. I'll be coming out with chapter 4 and 5 as well for you to listen through and hopefully learn a lot about looking at business ideas.